Ended up having a great time in high school. I wish I had taken it more seriously. And let me get back to the seriousness of this conversation right now when it comes to education, because I'm making it seem like it's all fun and games. But I should also share the importance of it, because if I could go back in time right now, I'd do it completely differently, because I wasted brain cells, I wasted time, I wasted energy, and I wasted enthusiasm. I wasted high school because I wasn't as serious as I should have been. If I had buckled down, now I'm reflective right now. We can all look back and have 20/20 vision, and this is one of those moments. As I look back at it now, I wish I had studied harder and put more emphasis on educating myself, because I didn't take it seriously as I should have. And the moments that came after that, I recognized that if I had done it differently, I would have been in a different position. And what I mean by that is, if I had, let's hypothetically, if I had taken chemistry in the 12th grade, I would have been able to take more advanced classes in college. You know, if I had taken physics, for an example, or if I had taken a foreign language, you know, like French or something, I would have been more well-rounded, more developed. Now that made me think of a story. I did develop myself in this sense. I ended up at Booker T. Washington taking a class called Electronics 101. I think that was the name of the class. No, I may not. That sounds like a college course that I took. Sorry about that. I took basic electronics. Let's call it that. Booker T. Washington had a vocational education system that it introduced kids to the professions. And, you know, if you look at the name Booker T. Washington, and you look at W.E.B. Du Bois, you know, those are the two benchmarks that we were taught to use. And Booker T. Washington said, develop your trading skills, or develop your trade skills. Learn a trade, because you'll be able to build upon that. You know, you'll be able to take that from one level of apprenticeship to a mastery. And W.E.B. Du Bois, he at the time was saying that become educated, get a college education. And both were right. It depends on the person. You have some people that are not college oriented, have no desire to go to college. So developing a skill would be excellent for them, because now they have something, you know, that'll give them an opportunity to provide for their livelihood. So both were right. And the school I went to was Booker T. Washington, and it made me think of his name. And I have read about those two. They came around the same time, about the same, they were in the same age bracket. And what I mean by same age bracket, I don't mean the exact same age, but they both came through in the same life cycle, in that they were both instrumental at the same time in American history. And both had great ideas. And Booker T. Washington's was, you know, get a skill. And I got a skill. What I did the Du Bois stuff too, a college education. But watch this here. Watch this. In high school, I got a skill in electronics. I was taught by a guy named Mr. Gates at Booker T. Washington. He taught us electronics and electricity. He gave us the basics. I only took one, it's kind of hard to reflect back on it. I don't know if it was 1 year or one semester of it. I think it was just one semester or 1 year. No, it was one semester. But I wish I had I wish I had stayed at Booker T. Washington. Nothing against Manassas, but I'm saying just for this program. I wish I had stayed there and gone through year-round electronics training in that school under Mr. Gates. Because let me tell you, I ended up, that ended up being my livelihood and what I ended up mastering at some level. But I got introduced to electronics and electricity in high school in the 10th grade. And I would go on and that would be my career. Now, Mr. Gates was a teacher that was trying to tell us at the time, learn this here and it'll be your bridge one day. But I wasn't skillful enough at the time to really understand him. I wish I could, man, we all say, boy, if I had the brain I have right now, but was a teenager, you would tend to say that you would do things differently. But I got this electronics training, and that's why I got introduced to it. And then I went into the Army and got electronics training. And then I left there and went to college and got electronics training. But I'm going to get to that. I want to stick right here with Booker T. Washington and why a skill is important. But I learned electronics there. And I was able to ping pong off of that into a full-fledged career. And I didn't become wealthy in my lifetime, but I made enough to support a family, help family to an extent along the way. And I guess that's all you can ask for. I wish I had taken it to another level though, because I had a friend who ended up getting a patent, and I'll get to him later. That was one of my military friends. We were all in electronics school together, and later in life, about 30 years later, he ended up with a patent, but I'll discuss that. But yeah, anyway, it's important to do the right thing when you're in high school and become educated, because all of it builds upon itself. Every little bit that you put inside of yourself, it's going to come out at the back end, and it's going to build upon itself. It's almost like building a house and you're laying bricks. You may in the 10th grade lay 5 bricks, and then you in a different grade lay other bricks, and in different grades lay additional bricks. But it all builds, and when you skip some of it, all of a sudden you have a hole where the space should be filled. And I had a hole. I was totally unprepared in a sense of where I would have liked to have been. I just didn't spend enough time, and I wish I had done it. And we all have some regrets, because not everything is going to go perfectly. Not everything is going to go perfectly because we're not always in tune with our environment at the moment, because there are other distractions, For all I know, hunger could have been a distraction at the time, and I couldn't think because my belly was empty, or I didn't have enough money to buy pencils and paper, and I couldn't write it down. Thus, I couldn't remember it. I had no notes to fall back on. I don't know what the circumstance was, but if in fact you can control anything, make sure that you focus on doing the right thing along the way, because it's like laying those bricks. Every one counts. Okay, let me see where I want to go. Let me see. I had toggled back to Booker T. Washington, and I had gone over to talking to you about Manassas and friendships. Let's see if we can take it past Manassas. After that, I went to tech school, State Tech in Memphis, State Technical Institute of Memphis. That was my school. Let me tell you what happened to me there. Boy, it was my first year in college. And I mean, my mama was proud. I mean, mom was proud. I mean, she was like, Tony's in college. And I mean, she was proud. And it's not many, I mean, you don't get a better feeling than making your mother happy. Trust me on that. You don't get a better feeling on this earth than making your mother happy. But I was at State Tech, and that went wrong. It was right in 99 ways, but one way it was wrong. So I was 99 out of 100. Went to school there. Excellent school. Excellent school. It was developing technical skills for people. Well, no, it actually had all kinds of programs, had business programs too. But I went into the computer technology program. And when I read the catalog, I misread it. I didn't read it in depth because I wanted to learn how to fix computers. But I got into a computer operations class or program, or I was on the track to become a computer operator and didn't know it. And I went through my whole first year, and I was taking these classes, you know. It was the first semester, we was on the quarter system, and 4 quarters, made the dean's list and stuff. And I asked the question, hey, when are we going to start the technical classes so that we can learn how to put our hands on this stuff? And then I learned at that moment I was in the wrong program. I'm like, you mean learn how to code? I'm like, no, I'm going to learn how to open up this machine and fix it. I want to learn how to fix this thing. The computer operations course does not provide that. And I was in the wrong course. I selected the course. I didn't do the basic homework. I was just happy to just be getting into a school, and I selected a program that I thought I should have read more on the course itself. I mean the program itself, not the course, but the program. Should have read more on the program. So in the 3rd quarter, I'm highly agitated. This is the end of the 3rd quarter, right? I'm agitated that I'm in the wrong program. So I'm like, okay, I got to switch. Got to finish up this school year. I'm in the middle of the 4th quarter. And then once this quarter ends, I'm going to just start taking classes. I'll change my major. Well, here's where, now this was a good school. I mean, my trajectory would have been something different than what it turned out, but it probably would have been a great one anyway, going that route. I was, I mentioned, you know, on the lower income spectrum, and I was on what they call the BEOG grant, which is Basic Educational Opportunity Grant. I think that was it. Basic Education Opportunity Grant. Yeah, BEOG grant. I was on the BEOG. Yeah. But I didn't know that you had to renew it every year. So I would say to anybody who's got a scholarship or getting a scholarship, if if it's a 4-year scholarship, make sure that you don't have to reapply every year or you have to submit additional paperwork. Because let me tell you what happened to me. I was on a BEOG grant, doing well, told you, making the dean's list, taking it seriously. Hey, A's and B's all over the place, starting to take my life seriously. Screwed around in high school, but turned it on. Left all the friends behind. It's now, it's time for me to rely on me and start doing it the right way, getting my grades, doing my homework, carrying my books, studying on the bus. I was riding the bus out there, studying on the bus, studying late at night, gave up the working, gave up the weekends, doing it right, and had no limitations at all. I mean, I had a good brain, just wasn't using it, but this time I turned it on. This BEOG grant, you had to apply for it every year, and I didn't know that. So when the fall came along, I waddled all the way over to the admissions office, and they said, go over to the business office, and found out I did not have a BEOG grant because I didn't apply for it. I didn't reapply for it. Thus, I did not have money to go back to school. I felt like I let my family down more than anything, but it hurt. It hurt me too. I mean, I didn't cry, but I was hurt, because I can remember laying up. I had a little twin bed. Me and my brother shared a room, and he had a twin bed here. I had a twin bed here. I laid across my bed, and I was looking up at the ceiling, and then I remember looking over at the door. Mom's robe was hanging on the door at that time too. I think she was letting it dry out. But sorry about that. I kind of there was a fluttering there. But I got real sad because I had let something happen that I didn't see coming. And I knew that I couldn't just sit around in Hurt Village. One of the things at the time was there was a place called President's Island. And for about 2 weeks, it was about 2 weeks, I almost took a job, because, some of the people were saying, go to President's Island or go to Hunter Fan. It was a Hunter Fan is like it used to be considered like a top-notch organization that produced like fans, like ceiling fans and, fan devices. I don't know if they made fans for vehicles, and I don't know. But they were considered a top-notch company. And I thought about going there for a job. But instead, I opted for the military because I knew I had to do something. And this was late July. Late July. And I know it was late July because I think on July 28th, I think I've told, no, on July 28th, I went over to the recruitment office, the Army recruiter's office, and told them that I was going to join. So I know it was late July. And I decided to go into the military because I didn't want to remain idle because, the old saying is that, hey, if you lay around doing nothing, you're going to end up getting in trouble. And I was a firm believer of that. And one of the reasons why is Mom at one time dated a man named Mr. Clarence Young, and he was an excellent father figure to me. And, he was, I don't know what he did because, I guess as children, you never ask people what they do for a living. But he was, he was a businessman, wore nice, dressy shirts, ties and stuff, And I'm just going to assume that he was, worked in an office environment or something like that. But he had instilled some good disciplines in me, and about being a man, and about working and stuff. And I had other role models too. I remember Roosevelt Glover. He was an excellent role model. I remember Bubba used to be a role model, because when he came home from the military, he used to offer encouraging words. He wasn't at home much because he was in the military, ended up being a career guy, but when he was at home, he always offered encouragement. But I almost lost my train of thought. Back to, I was thinking of these mentors, and all of a sudden I lost where I was, because I did have some excellent mentors, or I guess you can call it a mentor, that really doesn't fall in mentorship technically, but for the purpose of this conversation, let's call it a mentor. These were excellent mentors. Let me just move on. How about that? Let me just move on to a whole new topic. And I'm sorry that if I had you at a point, and I don't mean to be anticlimactic at this time, but I've just lost my train of thought, because I started thinking about Mr. Tim Motlow, Mr. Clarence Young, and some of these men that were instrumental in my life. And I certainly didn't want to walk away from that without speaking to it. Speaking to it, because those are really important people that helped shape me. And I was getting off of it so fast, I felt that I wasn't giving them the credit that was due. And, when you are actually acknowledging someone, you really truly should show their level of importance to you. And I didn't want to walk away from it that quickly, and then that's why I lost my thought. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go back to the military. Okay. That's where I was. I was on the military. I was talking about going down, and it was late July. I had left State Tech, and all of a sudden I found myself having to make a decision. So I joined the military. I was only on the delayed entry program about a week, not even 2 weeks. It wasn't even 2 weeks. It was almost a week. But let me tell you the impact of my decision. It was good for me, but it was bad for my family. And here's what I mean by that. I didn't give them a notice, and it shocked Mom, and it hurt her. And I didn't realize it hurt her until I had come back. I was literally out of the military. I had come back home, and we were talking about it one day, and I found out how Mom had cried. Mom told me about how hurt she was when I went to the military, because she didn't see it coming. And I knew that when I was leaving, she started crying, but I thought that was like, the separation anxiety piece, like the separations piece, like, you see parents, when their kids are going to college, and they're helping them move into the dorm room, and they start crying when they're leaving them because it's the first time that their kid's away from home. I was thinking along those lines when I left, but this truly scarred my mother. It hurt her heart because she was afraid. And see, that's a different thing than dropping a kid off in college. You don't have a fear. But instead, I was going to the military. And sure enough, it wasn't a war at the time. We had, at that time, let me see if I can pinpoint this exactly. It was just after Vietnam and just before the Falklands War. Now watch this here. And you know, mom, you know, she cried because she was worried. She grew up in the Vietnam era where, you know, boys her age were being killed, you know, and died, you know, there were stories all over the news. So that's what mindset she was in when it came to the military. I wasn't in that frame of mind because the military, the Vietnam War ended in '72, and I didn't go into the military until like 5 years later. Nope, make it 6 years. Even though it was still some remnants of Vietnam lingering, this technically it ended in '72. I didn't go in until '78, and I didn't have to deal with the remnants of war or the risk of being war. Now, my son did, and 2 generations before me did, in that Devin had to deal with the war. You know, we have a military line in a sense, in that Devin had to deal with the war, the Iraqi war. I didn't have to deal with war, but my uncle Terry ended up having to deal with the Vietnam War. And before him, we had Arthur Nichols in war. But anyway, I don't want to talk about war. That's not a good word to use. I should use something like combat but battle. Nonetheless, Mom was worried.